Hey everyone, YouTube hasn't really been showing my videos to new viewers lately. If you could drop a like or leave a comment, it would mean the world. Thanks so much. Lana and Mike were both 18 the night their lives first intersected. She was ringing in the new year in a tiny, worn-out apartment with a handful of high school friends. He showed up with a friend who happened to be connected to one of her old classmates from community college. The moment Mike walked in, his eyes locked onto Lana, and he couldn't look away. She felt the connection, too, instant and electric. He wasn't the most outgoing or best-dressed guy at the party, but something about his quiet attention made her heart skip. They never got the chance to speak that night. Too many people, too much noise. But a few weeks later, Lana's phone buzzed with a number she didn't recognize. It was Mike. He'd gotten her contact from a mutual friend and taken a chance. Their first date? A total mess in the most adorable way. They stumbled through it, laughed about it for years, and somehow, he managed to win her over. Not with grand gestures, but with small, sincere ones. Opening doors. Making sure she got home safe. Actually listening. Lana fell fast. He became her first serious boyfriend, the kind who'd literally lift her off the ground when her shoes gave her blisters. After a few years of dating, they moved in together. Marriage was always somewhere on the horizon, but Mike kept postponing the proposal while he focused on finishing his engineering degree in another city. Each semester, he'd leave for a month, and they'd miss each other terribly, talking for hours at night, counting the days until he returned. As soon as he tossed his graduation cap in the air, Mike dropped to one knee. By then, they'd already lived together for 4 years. Their friends assumed she must be pregnant, but that wasn't it. Their relationship had simply grown stronger over time. They took a honeymoon trip to the Smoky Mountains and returned ready to start a family. After 6 months of negative tests, Lana finally got a positive result. Pregnancy wasn't easy. Her hormones went haywire, nausea never let up, and she felt like her own body was no longer her own. But they made it through. 9 months later, they welcomed a beautiful baby girl into the world. Lana threw herself into motherhood with everything she had. She gave their daughter all her time, attention, and love, and in the process, Mike started to fade into the background. Not that he had much time to notice. He'd taken a second job and was barely home long enough to kiss the baby goodnight before collapsing into bed. The strain started to show. Parenthood was unfamiliar ground, and they had no map. Their daughter's sleepless nights drove Mike into the spare room, so he could function at work. That physical separation quietly turned emotional. Lana still loved him deeply, but being around him started to feel painful. She'd bounced back physically, working out, regaining her shape, even looking better than before, but their relationship didn't recover with her. She started to believe Mike no longer loved her. The truth? He loved her more than ever. But the weight of providing for the family alone wore him down. He felt overwhelmed, constantly on edge, and emotionally drained. Romance had no room in his overburdened mind. Eventually, things began to ease. Their daughter started sleeping through the night, and the house felt a bit more peaceful. Still, Lana couldn't shake a restlessness she didn't understand. She handled everything on her own, feedings, cleaning, cooking, while Mike continued working back-to-back shifts. The exhaustion finally caught up with her. She began to wonder if divorce was the only way out. But every time the thought surfaced, the idea of breaking apart her daughter's home kept her frozen. When their little girl turned 2 and started daycare, Lana ran back to work like a woman starving for air. Men were noticing her again. She started joining conversations at office lunches, slowly easing her way back into the rhythm of social life. Lana told herself the marriage just needed time to adjust, to find its footing again. Then came the New Year's work party that would turn her world upside down. The night before, she and Mike had blown up over something insignificant, another pointless fight sparked by his spiraling jealousy. His temper flared, but his affection remained absent. Drained by the constant tension, Lana left the house that night, hoping loud music and stiff drinks would help her forget the storm at home. At the party, she let go completely. She sang karaoke, flirted, laughed, her confidence pouring back with every cheer from the crowd. Her best friend Laura, wild and carefree, kept pace beside her, matching every shot Lana took. By 1 a.m., Laura was looking green, so Lana decided to get her home safely. Mike stayed behind with her daughter, firing off angry texts, demanding she come back. Lana muted the phone and focused on getting Laura to her apartment. Standing at the building's entrance was Laura's husband, Ethan, tall, broad-shouldered, and ruggedly handsome in a way that seemed made for catalog covers. Lana had met him once before when Laura had left a brunch early, and she remembered feeling a pang of envy at her friend's enviable upgrade. Ethan didn't hesitate. He swept Laura into his arms and carried her upstairs while Lana followed behind, juggling a purse and a pair of heels. Once Laura was tucked into bed, Ethan joined Lana in the kitchen. "Same couch, different night, huh?" he joked, cracking open a bottle of Prosecco like the party had simply moved locations. Lana knew she should have left right then. Staying was a betrayal, not just to Mike, but to Laura, too. But the alcohol, the late hour, the energy still buzzing in her blood, and the way Ethan looked at her, froze her in place. They talked, laughed softly, shared stories over clinking glasses. Then Ethan's hand brushed against hers. Just a fleeting touch, but the electricity jolted through her. Before she could even think, he leaned in and kissed her. It had been 5 years since she'd kissed anyone besides her husband. Her thoughts scattered instantly. They stumbled to the living room couch. Boundaries she'd once sworn she'd never cross blurred in seconds, then disappeared completely. Afterward, she drifted into a restless sleep, only to jolt awake in a rush of fear. It was almost 4 a.m. Panic gripped her chest. She got dressed in a hurry, tiptoed out, and ordered a cab. By then, Ethan had already crawled into bed beside his wife. Lana turned her phone back on. Dozens of missed calls and angry messages lit up the screen. All from Mike. She couldn't even bring herself to open them. Her hands shook. Her makeup was ruined, hair a disaster. There was no way she could fool him. She wiped her face with baby wipes, hoping to erase the night's damage. But nothing could hide the truth. As soon as she stepped into the apartment, Mike came out of the bedroom, fury radiating from every inch of him. Lana tried to spin a story, dead phone battery, getting sick, Laura playing nurse. Her pale face and trembling voice gave the lie just enough weight to land. "We'll talk in the morning," Mike said stiffly. A wave of hope rushed over her. Maybe he believed her. But then he helped her off with her coat, and froze. There, on her neck, a deep bruise was beginning to show. Ethan's careless mark. Tears spilled from Lana's eyes again. She collapsed onto the hallway floor and sat there, sleepless and sick with regret. At dawn, Mike packed his suitcase in silence. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow," he said quietly before walking out the door. 1 month later, Lana was officially alone. No husband. No idea how to move forward. Just a hollow ache where her marriage used to be, all because she'd thrown away the love of her life for one reckless, drunken night.